Okay, so we are starting our second half of this session, and I will give you some teaser about, we are going to have a movie today. So don't leave until we are finishing with the movie. Our next speaker is Dr. Adi Avidor, where he's finished his PhD here at the Tel Aviv University. And after that, he go and work for Google on his main research area, which is AI. And later also he established a co-founder and the CEO of the company called Twiggle. And you will hear very shortly about their advanced research algorithms that they have, which are helping the companies. And already they have very major customers, the main retailers in the world. And he will give his talk. So there is a problem here that didn't was fixed. I need to continue to talk, or so while they are fixing the simple problems, you know, we are talking about advanced. This is not for us. This is very simple. The PC just crashed. We can blame, if you like, the hardware or the software. Yes, you see the company. But I think one of the interesting areas that we heard today is related to artificial intelligence crashes. And imagine yourself now there is an autonomous driving car driving in the streets, and there is a car accident. And people here in the audience know that a car accident is very close to my heart, personally. Who are we are going to blame now? Is it the algorithm, the data set, or the company which integrated this software into the car? Who is going to take the responsibility of that? It's a very complex problem. We go to court, and who we bring to be a charge? So there is here a very complex situation that this is something just help us, or really created or generated the situation for this accident? This is something that we need to think about. And another area that we need to consider is, especially when we are talking about ethics and problems that AI will bring. It's very similar to other military technologies. You prefer to have these capabilities and technologies so your enemies will know that you have this power and you don't use it, and then you create this relationship or threat with them. But they know that if you will act, it can be damage for them dramatically. So the same here, we have a technology which is very advanced, very complicated, and we are going to use it in as much as possible in ethical way. We already saw malwares which are using AI. The first malware which I saw about 8 months ago, which using AI, was amazing. The malware learned about the characteristics of the defense of the system that he was injected into. And based on that, he didn't react, he just learned. Transmit the data out. In another location, the other malware were learning from this and penetrate the system. It was amazing. And I think this is going to be our future challenges. And probably not far away that we will need to deal with that. So I will let you to talk now. It's working? Yes. Okay, excellent. So Dr. Adi, please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. So I'm going to talk about AI in search, specifically in e-commerce search. Imagine a world where machines can really understand people. In this world, every one of us can have his own shopping assistant that can help him. That means that you can talk to machines, to your smartphone, your car, your refrigerator, your speaker, and they will take care of your shopping. You can ask, I would like 1 kilo of tomatoes. It will just be at your home on the next delivery. You can ask for your toothpaste, and it would understand that it's you and you're not your wife, for example, and you will get your own toothpaste. And you can even consult this very knowledgeable and smart assistant to buy a laptop. You can say, I would like to buy a laptop. He will ask you, who is it for? You would say, for my niece. She is studying law in Tel Aviv University. He said, okay, I got it. She needs 13-inch. It shouldn't be very heavy. The battery should last a lot of time. And probably you don't want to expense too much money. So we founded Twiggle to create this world. And we are building the technology that understands people and help the shoppers to find the product that they need or want. This means that we are helping people find products today. If they use a desktop, or if they use their laptop or mobile, they can use voice over mobile or speakers. So it's very popular to talk about Alexa nowadays and about assistants, but if you look at the technology from an angle of 5 years, you see that basically the technology is at the same point. So like 5 years ago, you could use this technology in order to ask for something like what is the weather and how much is $1 in dollars, in shekels. Today you can do something like very similar. So you can say this, or maybe you can say set an alarm, what time, 7. So the conversation is really, really basic. It's basically commands plus form filling. And if you try to understand why, you see that the technology is still not mature. We are still stuck in the first sentence. This is an example. So if you type smartphone with best battery in a site like Amazon, Walmart, or actually any other site that sells stuff, you get stuff that is not a smartphone. You get batteries, you get headphones, etc. Well, what you actually want to get is a smartphone with best battery. The same applies if you say something like quiet dishwasher. You get some dishwasher accessory. Maybe you get a dishwasher, but this dishwasher I checked is not quiet at all. What you want is a system to understand you. You want quiet dishwashers, and you want below each one of them to understand what is the noise level. This is not only for electronics. It applies for fashion, home, kids, sport, any category you want in retail. Why is that? So what you saw on the left side is a search that is based on keywords. Keywords, user behavioral data, statistical method. It's good, but it doesn't understand. If you want a search that understands, you need a search that is based on knowledge. This is called knowledge-based search, which is what we do. We are not the first company to use knowledge in search. So Google is doing that. Since 2011, they moved from these pages that you type a query and get a web page to sometimes you get something like this, which means that you have a problem, you get a solution. So you can ask for the weather, currency conversion, you can ask who is the wife of the President of the United States, and you would get a solution instead of just getting web pages you need to browse. Okay, so how do we do that? So the first thing that you need in order to have understanding is knowledge. So what we do, we take all the knowledge that exists in occurrence, we find a way to represent, to formalize this knowledge. And once we have a representation, we produce this knowledge. We call this process knowledge production. On top of the knowledge production process, we are building a software that is understanding language. This software translates text into meaning. So in the previous example, it would translate the smartphone best battery into the meaning the user is looking for a smartphone, that the battery is good. It would translate the text of the catalog and say, this is a smartphone, this is not a smartphone. And if a product is a smartphone, it would say, this smartphone has battery that lasts XYZ. So this is how the knowledge production looks like. This is a very, very small fraction of the knowledge that we produce. Each rectangle that you see is a concept. A concept can be a product type, or it can be a component. It can be something more abstract, like a software or color, material, etc. And the lines that you see between the rectangles are relationships between concepts. So for example, smartphone can be a concept, camera can be a concept, and smartphone has a camera, so there will be a line between these two. The rectangle that you see on the right is an example of a flower product, which has a lot of attributes and properties. If you want to see the entire knowledge that we created until now, it looks like this. Each dot is a concept, and then you have the lines that connect them. What you see here is a very accurate and detailed universal model for e-commerce. Now, I want to make a point regarding the kind of knowledge-based search that we do to others. So we are not talking about knowledge only at the factual level. So give me the fact, what is the height of Everest? We are doing something more complicated, which is understanding at the level which is a conceptual level. So when we ask for a smartphone with best battery, we need to understand, the system needs to understand that best refers to the battery, not to the smartphone. We need to understand that battery is a component of a smartphone. And we need to understand that best battery actually doesn't refer to the battery, it refers to the phone. It means that this phone can last much more than the other phones on the market. So because the first type of knowledge-based search is called first generation knowledge-based search, and the one we do is called second generation knowledge-based search. So the first layer is to understand knowledge, building the knowledge. Then you have the layer of understanding. So understanding means that there are a lot of sentences, phenomena, phrases, which has semantic meaning that we need to translate correctly. So this is an example of a list of phenomena that we support. Everything you see in red is not supported at top retailer sites. So I'm not going to go over the 20 or more than 20 lines there, but here are some examples. This is the example of a bundle. A bundle is where you want to buy a product, but it's actually two products, like coffee table set or table and chairs. So we get it, others don't. Another phenomenon is component. We need to understand here that phone with flashlight, then flashlight is a component of the phone, rather than the product itself, which others think that flashlight is the product. Another example is what is called inference, to come out of a conclusion from something which is not mentioned explicitly. Bookcase 50 by 50. So it's not 50 millimeters, it's not dollars. If you're in the US, probably the user thinks about feet, so 50 feet by 50 feet. Okay, so we have knowledge, we have understanding. That's great. Now we have to make money. So we need to tie what we do into dollars because we want to produce knowledge at scale. So what we did, we looked in the entire domain of e-commerce and tried to analyze how much it's going to cost us to cover everything. So what you see here is a breakdown by domains, according to how much traffic there exists in each one of the domains. So fashion is 20%, electronics is 25% of the traffic, home is 9%, etc. Then we try to quantify how much knowledge exists in each one of the domains. Roughly speaking, when we say we want to quantify knowledge, then we want to quantify how much information we need to hold in our head in order to understand this domain. So we took the fashion domain as a reference point and said, let's say that fashion has 1 knowledge unit. And then say how much are all the others. So electronics became 7 knowledge units and home is 11 knowledge units. What it means here is that the amount of knowledge, the amount of concepts, relationship between concepts, lexicon, synonyms, etc., that exist in the electronics domains is 7 times that the amount of concept entities, etc., that exist in the fashion domain. Now, what is the goal of that? The goal of that is to understand again how much it would cost us. So based on that, we can make business decisions. So we can, for example, calculate how much money do we need to raise in order to cover all the e-commerce domain. We can also see from this diagram that the most economical domain to start with is fashion. So you see that it's 20% of the traffic, but it's only one knowledge unit. By the way, this is the reason that many of our competitors, they start with fashion too. Maybe they didn't do this calculation, but you see that the best e-commerce understanding search is in fashion. Also, once we defined it, it was very clear what we need to do is to reduce the amount of money it costs to produce knowledge. So we managed to reduce it by a factor of 4 last year, and we plan to reduce it by another factor of 2 this year. So let's summarize. So we founded a company in order to build systems that can understand people and help people find the product they need or want. Our product improves search in e-commerce sites, big sites. We work with the biggest retailers in the world, and we obtain phenomenal results. How do we do that? We take the entire knowledge that exists, we find a way to represent it, create it, and we basically build systems that are thinking in higher level. And we have a lot of processes in the company, which makes this process very, very cheap, and will continue to be very cheap. Thank you very much.